And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Hello, I'm National Weather Service Meteorologist Peter Chan with your Alaska Marine Weather Outlook on this Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. And we start with the state of the sea ice here. In the far north, the Bering Strait, we do have more in the way of open water developing. Still, though, a fair amount of ice there in the lower Chukchi Sea, a few areas of remnant ice south side or shore there of Norton Sound near Stebbins, and then also across the way at St. Lawrence Island, there's still ice, especially in and around Savunga. As we get farther north, there is some opening also along the northwestern Chukchi Sea coast between Point Hope, Cape Lisburne up through Point Lay. But still quite a bit of ice along the Beaufort Sea from Utqiagvik eastward through Kaktovik. And the more active weather is going to be across areas of the Gulf Coast into the Panhandle the rest of this week into the early weekend. We have yet another low lifting northeastward this Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. The low will be crossing Kodiak Island on Wednesday morning. It's going to bring in breezy conditions with another round of rain and rain showers. This system will continue by the time we get in the Wednesday afternoon, be just northeast of Kodiak City, just outside of Kennedy entrance there of Cook Inlet, and they'll continue northeastward Wednesday evening along the outer Kenai coast, and then eventually end up over Prince William Sound for early Thursday morning. This frontal system will continue northeastward up to along the northeastern Gulf Coast and into the outer areas of the Panhandle by Thursday. So this will spread more rain or rain showers in through the Panhandle Wednesday night and Thursday. And winds generally should stay below gale force with this system. Certainly small craft advisories likely. There could be some isolated gale force winds, especially that area around Cape Suckling to outside of Hinchinbrook entrance. And then as we get into Thursday afternoon, the low just weakens up over Prince William Sound, the front weakening to a trough that pushes in through at least the inner channels of the Panhandle. But here comes the next low for the end of the weekend or early weekend. This low will be taking a track northeastward up into the western half of the Gulf. And the frontal system wrapped around it will have some gale force winds that could affect a large area of the Gulf into the outer Panhandle from along and just off of Kodiak Island, the Kenai Peninsula, and then back here along the outer coast there of the Panhandle Thursday or Friday night into Saturday, along with some additional rain. So here in the shorter term, midweek Wednesday, look for south winds 15 knots, Petersburg up through Juneau, waves 2-3 feet. Look for northwest winds, Ketchikan, Metlakatla, waves 2 feet. Outer coast south of Sitka, west-southwest winds just 10 knots, 6-7 foot swells. Winds more southerly as you go off of Sitka up through outside of Yakutat Bay, 15 to 20 knots, turning easterly to 30 knots there off of Cape Suckling. And then for Thursday, look for south winds for the inner channels, 15 to 20 knots, waves running 2 to 4 feet. For the outer coast, winds will be westerly outside of Cross Sound down to off of Prince of Wales Island at 15 to 20 knots, and then look for winds more easterly as you get out there past Yakutat Bay to Cape Suckling at 15 knots. Now along the northwestern Gulf for Wednesday, we have the low that's going to be working its way up to this position by, it's looking like later afternoon, early evening. So ahead of it, winds will be southeasterly here outside of Hinchinbrook entrance, 25 knots, 8-foot swells. Within Prince William Sound, look for southeast winds of 20 knots with 3-4 foot waves, and you're going to have areas of rain or widespread rain showers. And the circulation on the backside, northeast to north winds, upper middle Cook Inlet, 15 to 20 knots, and then northeast winds, 15 knots, lower Cook Inlet off the Homer Spit, and then also just outside there of Kodiak City. On Thursday, winds come down within Prince William Sound because that weak low pressure just kind of sits and spins in this region. Easterly, mainly 10 knots. Look for winds southwest to south between Hinchinbrook entrance and Kayak Island. And then for lower Cook Inlet, west-southwest winds 20 to 25 knots, waves 4 to 6 feet. On Wednesday, Kodiak Island will generally see westerly winds around 20 knots, 5-foot wave Shelikof Strait, 8 feet off of Akiak and the east side there of the island. Generally, winds will be out of the west-northwest, 15 to 20 knots along the peninsula, waves 5-6 feet on the North Pacific side and 2 to 3 feet on the Bering side. For Thursday, winds west-southwest 20 knots around Kodiak Island, and then generally west-northwest winds along the Alaska Peninsula at 15 to maybe 20 knots there within Bristol Bay, falling off and becoming variable only around 10 knots north of Cold Bay, and waves generally running 3 to 5 feet. For Wednesday, eastern Aleutians will see northwesterly winds 15 to 20 knots as we get out toward Atka and Adak. Westward, variable winds at just 10 knots, and then westerly winds again at 15 knots, Kiska to Shemya. And on Thursday, the eastern Aleutians, northerly winds 15 to as high as 20 knots on Alaska through Nikolsky to Atka. Once we get back out toward Adak, there is a weak high that's going to be out through this region. Variable winds 10 knots, and then they turn southerly again west of Kiska up through Shemya at 15 to 20 knots. On Wednesday, winds within Bristol Bay and Kuskokwim Bay, westerly 15 to 20 knots. Look for northwest winds 15 knots. The Pribilov, St. Paul, St. George up to St. Matthew at 15 knots, and then the lower Yukon coast. Northwest winds 20 knots, 15 knot northwest winds within Norton Sound, waves running 3-4 feet. For Thursday, westerly winds of 20 knots, not just within Bristol Bay and Kuskokwim Bay, but back toward the Pribilovs with waves 3 to 5 feet. As we get out along the outer Yukon coast, west-northwest winds 15 to 20 knots up into Norton Sound, waves 3-4 feet. And then along the Bering Strait, down along the north side of St. Lawrence Island and along the west side of the Seward Peninsula, winds will generally be out of the north-northwest 20 to 25 knots, 4 to 5 foot waves where there is open water. As we go up through the Chukchi Sea, winds could be as strong as 25 to 30 knots along areas of the coast of the Lisburn Peninsula, Point Hope, Cape Lisburn, up to Point Lay and Wainwright. And then along the Beaufort Sea coast, especially Utqiagvik through Kaktovik, look for northeast to east winds at 15 knots. Again, there's still quite a bit of ice in place there. And then on Thursday, winds across the Beaufort Sea coast, northeasterly 15 to just 5 to 10 knots, Prudhoe Bay to Kaktovik. But northeast winds, Utqiagvik through Wainwright at 15 knots. Strongest there off the Lisburn, Cape Lisburn and Point Hope, northeast winds to 25 knots. And again, we have some opening of water here off that area, and also down here in the lower Chukchi Sea. Winds will be generally northerly, 20 to 25 knots through the Bering Strait with waves running 4 to 5 feet, and then winds a little more northwesterly, not quite as strong over there at Gamble, north side of St. Lawrence Island, 10 knot northwest winds for Thursday, and waves 3 feet.